So, what's OpenAI's master plan? Well, today we're breaking down their blueprint to win the AI race, and it comes straight from the top, from CEO Sam Altman himself.
All right, here's the game plan. We'll start with the intense, paranoid culture driving them. Then we'll unpack their core three-pillar strategy. We'll look at how they're targeting the enterprise market, tackle the massive trillion-dollar question of funding, and finally explore their endgame, including a potential IPO.
Okay, first things first. To really get what drives OpenAI, you have to understand the environment they're in. It's basically a pressure cooker, 24/7. Altman himself says they're frequently in a code red phase. But it's not about panicking. He actually sees this paranoia as a strategic tool. It's how they stay sharp, how they move fast when a competitor makes a move. It's really baked right into their culture to make sure they're never caught off guard. And this number? This is exactly what's at stake. We are talking over 800 million weekly active users on ChatGPT. That's not just a user base, it's a kingdom. And you can bet they're going to fight like crazy to protect it. So, the big question is, how do you defend that kingdom? How do you win this whole thing? Well, it all comes down to their core strategy, which is built on three main pillars. It's actually pretty straightforward when you lay it out. First, you have to build the smartest, most capable models out there, period. Second, you wrap those models in incredible products that are just sticky, things people actually want to use. And third, and this is absolutely crucial, you need a massive amount of computing power to run it all. It's a feedback loop. Better models lead to better products, which drives the need for more infrastructure. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, especially when you think about their competition, the big guys like Google. Altman is making a huge bet here. He thinks just tacking on AI features to old products, what he calls bolting AI on, is a losing strategy. The real win, he believes, comes from completely rethinking and rebuilding products from the ground up, with AI at the absolute center. That's a direct shot at the incumbents. So while most of us know OpenAI because of ChatGPT, right? It's their public face. But their real engine for hypergrowth, well, that's kicking into gear in a totally different arena. And Sam Altman says it flat out. Their enterprise business is growing even faster than their consumer side. So this isn't some little side project. For OpenAI, winning over big companies is becoming the main event. It's the engine that's going to pay for everything else. And you might be asking, are they really ready for the big leagues? Well, check this out. This is their own internal data. They're testing how often their models can perform knowledge work tasks as well as or even better than human experts. And look at that top bar. They're hitting almost 75%. If you're a business, that is not just a cool number. That is a massive opportunity to change how you work. Okay, but all of this, the best models, the best products, winning over every company on Earth, it takes an absolutely insane amount of resources. And that leads us to the elephant in the room, the trillion-dollar question, literally. The math here is kind of scary. Right now, they're spending way more on compute than they're bringing in. That's a burn rate that would make most investors sweat. So the question on everyone's mind is, how in the world is this sustainable? And when we say it's expensive, it's hard to even wrap your head around the numbers. We're not talking billions anymore. The figures being thrown around for their long-term plans are reportedly in the trillions. I mean, $1 trillion? That's just a staggering amount of money. So what's the logic? How can they possibly justify that kind of spending? It all comes down to one single, massive bet. Altman fundamentally believes that the demand for artificial intelligence is practically infinite. He says they've never had compute power that they couldn't turn around and monetize. The gamble is that as they build more, the demand will just keep growing exponentially to match it, or even outpace it. All right, so where is all this heading? Let's talk about the end game. We'll get into profitability, a potential IPO, and the ultimate goal, AGI. Now, if you're thinking about this from an investor's point of view, you have to understand this idea of capability overhang. It's a pretty simple concept, really. There's a huge gap between what their models are capable of doing and what people and businesses have actually figured out how to use them for. Altman sees that gap as pure, untapped potential. It means they can keep growing revenue for a long, long time, just by helping people catch up to the tech that already exists.
So looking ahead, what's on the roadmap? Well, an IPO seems pretty much inevitable, mostly to raise the insane amount of capital they need. Product-wise, they're thinking beyond the smartphone. Imagine dedicated AI devices. A huge goal is to use AI to make real scientific breakthroughs, and soon. And as for AGI, Well, Altman is starting to see it less as a big bang moment and more of a gradual process that might have already started.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought, which is pretty wild. Sam Altman has said he'd be thrilled if one day the CEO of OpenAI was actually an AI. Just let that sink in for a second. It really makes you wonder, what is the true endgame here?